What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another UFC prediction video. Today we are talking UFC 305 live from Perth, Western Australia. Dricus du Plessis, the new middleweight champ. Ugh, I'm a little sick at the moment. I was gonna address that earlier, but you can probably hear it in my voice. I've just been getting over a cold for the last couple days, but Dricus du Plessis, the new middleweight champion, puts his UFC 185-pound title on the line against Israel Adesanya in a massive fight in Down Under. We have a lot of great fights on this pay-per-view, the likes of Kai Kara France taking on Steve Erceg, Mateus Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. A lot of great fights here. We're gonna hop straight into it. So these are my picks, bets, predictions, whatever you want to call them, for UFC 305. Hopefully I can get through this okay being sick, but let's get into it. So first up we have Li Jingliang, the Leech, taking on Carlos Pirates of Brazil. This should be a very interesting fight in my opinion. Two stand-heavy guys who are really going to be looking to keep this fight on the feet. So I like this fight a lot on paper. I mean, both the fellas are pretty big. Like, I want to take a look. Like, well, it looks like, yeah, oh my god, Pirates has a huge reach advantage. That's like 20 centimeters in reach. Holy crap. But, I mean, I was looking into Carlos Pirates is one of the guys that I haven't really heard about too much going into this fight. He's like the only fighter I don't really know off heart on this card. So, when I heard he was fighting Li Jingliang, I did a little bit of research. Excuse me. I wanted to see what was up. And yeah, this dude's the real deal. This dude is the real deal. I mean, he fought Israel and Alex Pereira in kickboxing, so he's fought the UFC, well, one of the most dominant middleweight champs of all time, and fought one of the most dominant light heavyweight champs of all time, and Alex Pereira, 2-division champ as well. So, oh my god, dude, I am so tired. I don't know why, but man, this is actually a really good fight. I think Pirates is gonna, honestly, the way I see this fight going, Pirates has got nothing but knockouts on his UFC career so far, and I think he's gonna continue that. I mean, I think he's gonna be a little too technically good for Li Jingliang in this fight, so I'm gonna take Carlos Pirates. I don't know if that's how you say his name correctly, but that's how I'm gonna say it as. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments down below, but I think Pirates is gonna get the job done by a second round knockout. Whether that be a TKO, I just think he's gonna finish him with strikes in the second round. Speaking of knockouts, Tai Tuivasa, Bam Bam is back. He is fighting Jairzinho Rozenstruik at, well, heavyweight, obviously. There's no way this fight isn't at anything other than heavyweight, but I mean, if we're looking at this fight from a certain perspective, I don't see this fight going to the ground at all. With the Volkov fight, you can see that fight going to the ground, but Bam Bam needs a good win here. Bam Bam really does need a good win here. I'm just realizing my camera's up a little too high. Can I fix that? Nope, that's way too low. But while I'm talking about this, crap, come on. Yeah, no, Bam Bam needs a big win here. He's on a rough losing streak. Volkov and those guys, they've given him some tough losses along the way, but Rozenstruik's no bum. I mean, he was a good technical fighter, and we were talking about him getting the heavyweight title shot before he got knocked out by Francis Ngannou back in the day, like 4 years ago. So it's going to be a good little fight here. I mean, Rozenstruik will be no pushover for Tai Tuivasa. Rozenstruik's got good technical boxing. I remember his knockout over Walt Harris in Washington, D.C. back in the day. Or was that Alistair Overeem? I can't even remember. I think he beat the both of them, if I'm not mistaken. But, man, the way he came back in some of those fights, that guy's got some serious striking power. And, man, my brain's picking Rozenstruik here, but my heart's picking Bam Bam. So I'm a rock with Bam Bam. I think Tai Tuivasa will get the job done. It really just comes down to who catches each other first. And I think Tai Tuivasa is going to catch Jairzinho Rozenstruik first. Yeah, I know Jairzinho is a really good technical fighter, especially for heavyweights, but he leaves his chin open a fair bit, and I can see Bam Bam landing on that chin. So give me Tai Tuivasa by first round knockout. Come on, camera, focus. Okay, there we go. Next fight up, Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan the Hangman Hooker. I don't know why Gamrot's coming all the way to Australia, but good for him. Dan Hooker. Oh boy. Funny story, actually. One of my best friends from Australia is technically Dan Hooker's cousin-in-law. So there's a funny story for you. So I guess I'm somewhat close to Dan Hooker, but never met the guy. He seems like a decent fella. But yeah, no, I think he's got a real tough test in front of him with Gamrot. I mean, I personally think Gamrot belongs in the top 5 of the division. He should be up there with the Makhachevs, the Poiriers, the Gaethjes, the Saryukians. Like, he's one of those guys in my opinion. He is that technically good. I think he's that gifted. I mean, you have to be that good if you have 24 wins and 2 losses in professional MMA. Like, that's some pretty big stats, and I mean, in a stacked division like lightweight, that's pretty impressive to have. I mean, who are his 2 losses looking back at it? I mean, he beat RDA earlier this year. That was in Miami, I remember that. But he did lose to Dariush by decision, I remember that. He actually beat Arman Saryukian, that's crazy to think about. Oh, that was 2 years ago. I actually fought that night. Myself fought that night. I know, I fight, crazy to think about it. So, he's old. Actually, wait, he did lose his first UFC fight, but Gamrot's good. That's all you really need to take out of this is Gamrot's good. I'd love to take Dan Hooker here. I'd love to say Dan Hooker gets the job done, but I just can't see him beating Gamrot. I really can't. So, Mateusz Gamrot, I'm going to say, wins out a grimy split decision over Dan Hooker. Dan's definitely going to make it tough for him. I don't think he's going to get out of his face, but I think Gamrot will get a decision win over the Hangman on this one. Now, here's an interesting fight. Kai Kara France is taking on Steve Erceg in the co-main event. 2 Aussie New Zealand boys, 2 boys from down under, are going to go for it. Really, what could be seen as a flyweight #1 contender fight. I mean, Kai Kara France has been talking about a title shot for a while now, and Steve Erceg, he just came off fighting for the belt, and honestly, you could argue he almost beat Pantoja. You could argue that. I mean, I do think Pantoja won the fight, but it's not like Steve Erceg made it easy for him by any stretch of the imagination. So this is going to be a very good fight in my opinion. I like both of these guys. I think we could see a very, very, very good fight on Saturday night on our hands in this one. Between Kai and Steve, I mean, this is definitely going to be a technical fight. I mean, for Steve, it's really going to be a lot of placing the jab, making sure Kai doesn't get in close, using Steve's reach and length to his advantage. Steve can even get the kicking game going, because I don't think Kai Kara will be shooting for takedowns very much. But for Kai, it's really all about making it a tough, gritty fight, getting Steve outside of his comfort zone. Steve loves to use that reach, use his length, which is... I'm really leaning towards Steve Erceg in this one, I will say, because it just feels like all the attributes that Kai Kara France brings reels in perfectly to exactly what Steve Erceg would want. He's a big guy for the flyweight division, and that reach, that height, it's virtually perfect for this weight class. I mean, I really like Kai Kara France. I really do think he could give Steve Erceg a good fight, but it's hard to not doubt the reach and the length of Steve Erceg. I really like Steve Erceg in this fight, man. I can't really deny it, but I'm gonna take Erceg. I think it's gonna be a decision win for Steve Erceg. I mean, Kai Kara, yeah, he'll definitely have his moments in this fight, but I just can't really see him beating Steve Erceg. I just think too long, too powerful, too much reach, too much height. I think all the physical attributes that Steve Erceg has is going to cause Kai Kara a lot of problems. So give me Steve Erceg in this one. And last but not least, your main event of the evening. Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya for the 185-pound title of the UFC Middleweight Division. Oh boy, I have been waiting 2 years for this fight, and it is finally here. Hopefully this cold F's off before... Oh my god, before this fight. I mean, it's been getting better every day. I mean, you guys should have seen how I sounded Sunday and Saturday night, but... yeah, it wasn't good. But, Jesus. Yeah, no, with du Plessis, I mean, you can tell he's got the toughness and the grit, especially considering that Sean Strickland fight. A lot of people will say, oh, Sean Strickland won that fight. I mean, it was obviously very close. You could argue it either way. I mean, I had Dricus winning personally. I mean, looking back at that fight in Toronto, I was actually there last weekend, ironically enough, but the way I seen it, it was like Dricus, he won the mixed martial arts fight. Strickland won a boxing fight. So we're judging this on mixed martial arts, not boxing. But yeah, no, I mean, Dricus, he's got some great wins recently, like Robert Whittaker, Darren Till, Derek Brunson. He's made pretty easy work of the top 10, and I mean, he beat Whittaker in a pretty similar style to what Izzy did it the first time. So, and I mean, for Izzy, oh boy. I mean, first fight in 11 months. Izzy needed the reset. I mean, he's been fighting 2-3 times a year. Adesanya did need a break, but like, oh my god. I just want you to think back for a second, all the fights Izzy's had. So, before he even got the title, he was fighting Anderson Silva, Derek Brunson, Brad Tavares, and then he fought Gastelum, Whittaker, Romero, Costa, Vittori. I can't even remember who else he fought in 2021, but Whittaker again. And then it was Pereira twice, and then it was Sean Strickland. Like, yeah, Izzy needed the reset, and I'm happy he took it, because we could see a totally brand new and vibrant Israel Adesanya, but I think I can tell Dricus is more in Izzy's head than Izzy is in Dricus's head from the body language and what I've seen in interviews and stuff. I mean, Israel's definitely playing a few mind games. I seen a funny quote today of someone asking Izzy the infamous Tom Aspinall question, and Izzy said ask his coach. So I'm not gonna say it on YouTube, but if you know, it's a if you know, you know kind of thing. If you don't know, just watch Tom Aspinall's interview with Nina Drama. There, that's all you need to know. But okay, so in terms of the actual fight between these two, I mean, the Battle of Africa is taking place in Australia. Of course. Why couldn't we just have a card in Africa, for Christ's sake? Please, UFC, we've been calling for about 7 years now. But, oh man, even if it wasn't South Africa, that would have been a great place for this card. But, yeah, no, I'd love to see either fighter win. I really like both guys here. I really do. I mean, you guys know I'm a big Adesanya fan. I mean, I've been with him pretty well ever since he entered the UFC. I always thought he was the next big thing, and he's shown it. But yeah, he's got a real good fight ahead of him. I will say that. But Izzy does have the reach advantage and the height advantage, so he's gonna have to use that to his advantage, in my opinion. He's gonna have to take every opportunity he can get. I mean, I will give you my prediction for this fight. I will give you my prediction. The way I see this fight, I just think Izzy's way too technically good for Dricus. Like, you see when Dricus fights, it's more of a kind of punch. Izzy will snipe through that all day, all night, and I really do think the break will help Adesanya a lot coming back into this fight. But yeah, leg reach advantage, height advantage. Yeah, I think Izzy could give Dricus a really tough night here. I really do. I mean, I don't see either fighter wanting to finish this fight. I see both fighters wanting to punish the other fighter and almost like take them into deep waters and drown them, but I'm gonna rock with the champ. I'm gonna take Israel Adesanya. I think Israel Adesanya will win by unanimous decision this fight. If it isn't, I'm gonna say a 5th round KO TKO. But you know what? Go watch the Kelvin Gastelum fight. That's a lot of what I'm expecting in this fight. I'm expecting a lot of that. I expect Izzy to win, but I expect it to be a very tough, gritty fight. I think Izzy, he's coming off he's had the loss to Pereira, the knockout win over Pereira, and then the loss to Strickland. But yeah, no, I think this is going to be a lot like the Kelvin Gastelum fight for Israel Adesanya. It's going to be a tough, gritty fight. Dricus won't back down. Izzy won't back down. And we are in for a great night of fights. Saturday, August 18th from the RAC Arena in Perth, Western Australia. Or is it 17th? Well, today's Thursday. Oh, it is 17th. My bad. Well, it'll be the 18th in Australia, I suppose. But if you guys are pumped for UFC 305, make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment down below. What are your predictions for UFC 305? Smash the subscribe button with all my notifications turned on so you don't miss any future uploads. And yes, join the Patreon as well if you want early access to all these videos and to access all my bets. You can do that through the Patreon. It is the highest tier out of all of them, but that is a very good tier to keep an eye on, I will say that. Enjoy the fights, guys, and I will see you for UFC 306. Nache UFC at the Spear. O'Malley versus Merab. Oh, good God, that's going to be a banger. Take care, and peace.